there are two of you.
All right. This is my screen.
Nice, nice.
Let's see what we've got. So we've got the reviewer rubric, which is the new review rubric. I'm sure you must have mentioned NGJ while I was battling with Discord earlier. You can see our build in public process on the right side as well. So that's how you know this is very much a build in public effort. And I'm just gonna pop this in the chat for all of you who haven't seen it yet. And I see that screen sharing might not be working for some and might not be captured on the recording. So I'll provide all the links in the chat and we'll pop them onto the video description and post as well. Here's our review rubric. And before we start, real quick, I want to send you something cool. In the chat is our little Xmetric Google form. So if you're here live, we'd love to send you some Xmetric and show that we appreciate you for being active and participating and just being around and attending these live. So fill it out, drop your details so we can send you some Xmetric. And for those of you for whom screen sharing continues to stay on loading, I'm going to put all the links that we used in the chat so you could follow along. And the first link is already in there, which is the reviewer's vision and strategy, which contains the new and improved community consulted review rubric. With that, yeah, let's kick it off. DJ, are there any particular dashboards that caught your eye that you wanted to start with, or do you have anything?
Yeah, we'll do the Avalanche sex flows first. I want to do Captain Crunch's Dune dashboard. We'll see if we can get through as many of them as possible. But those are two I wanted to focus on for sure. If we go quick, we might be able to work all the way through. These are actually, a bunch of these are good examples. There's a lot for us to talk about. Yeah, this is a good one to start with.
All right. So we've got the Avalanche dashboard up on the screen. Now let me record my end of the things so that we can mix it up and post-prod and make it easy for our editor, who is, I'm presuming Patrick is going to be also editing this. Thank you, Patrick. Make it easy for him. I'm going to grab the screen. All right, we're all good to go. Here is Playo's dashboard, Avalanche centralized exchange flows. Anything you wanted to lead with, DJ?
I'll lead off. I'm partial to this type of dashboard, but I would give this a stellar. And here's why. It's extremely well organized. Very, very well labeled. The tab structure works great. Each tab is super dedicated to a particular theme or topic. It's informative without being overwhelming. Really, really easy to find information. So I know some folks will probably ask, does this, like, is it too Spartan? You know, does it have enough information? For me, it does. And it tells you what you're going to learn. It has a really interesting takeaway. And it's super easy to find what you're looking for. So I have some critiques. But if we go to asset flow, if you want to scroll up, this first graph, asset flow denominated in US dollar terms across all centralized exchanges, is excellent. It's well deserving of being one of the first graphs. It's really easy to understand. It tells me assets versus withdrawals over time, which is interesting. The line chart here superimposed over the bar chart is great. This is just a really good visualization. I would love to see my only gripe here, and this is a small one as we go down. I would love to see all-time flow volume per asset is good. It would have been great to be able to break these out over time. But just as an aggregate, seeing stablecoin dominance versus native assets for AVAX, I thought is really valuable. If I want to look more at the methodology, I can do that at the end. And so for without knowing or without having to hand exactly what the question is, I thought that this is a really good example of doing enough without doing too much. It loads really quick. It's super snappy. I could screenshot any of these if I wanted and write a thread about them. So this is, to me, an example of a dashboard that would be sufficient to qualify for Stellar. What did you think, Marina?
Excuse me. I agree. I really love the structure. I appreciate that the key takeaways are at the top. The insights are given to you when you just see the dashboard, see it first. I think on that insights category, this would definitely be for me. Scored really, really high and nothing taken away. And because it's so great, I'm looking at the visualizations and I'm starting to think kind of next level, is our visualizations maybe always kind of clear to read? So because the standard, I guess what I'm trying to say is because the standard is high, I'm trying to kind of judge higher in as a consequence, but I'm looking at maybe net flows or centralized exchange here. And like
Yeah.
this particular chart, maybe like I think this works great maybe when you use the interaction kind of feature, but otherwise a little bit hard for me to kind of read at a glance. But this is again because everything is super high standard. This is me kind of looking at smaller things now. But I
Okay,
also love
good.
the
We should hold people to the higher standard. To some extent, that's a limitation, I think, of the existing charting library. But I agree. Just because Binance is so dominant, it's really difficult to see some of the others unless you zoom in. Even just a simple "Hey, zoom in for best results," label is not the worst thing to do. Sorry, you were saying.
yeah, just how it's I really like this dashboard. I really appreciate when methodology and kind of little bits is given where it's relevant. Right. So there's a whole section of methodology at the end for those who want to find cool stuff to learn, as Playo said themselves. But I really like that there's like a little piece of how this is defined and it's right next to that section of the dashboard. I think that's very user oriented. That's exactly what makes it, what kind of eliminates the question in the mind of someone reading it. Okay, you look at it and you're like, oh wait, what's onboarding? Oh wait, what's user? And then it's right here. And if someone does want to go deeper, Playo advises to not skip over the methodology tab, which I appreciate.
Yeah,
Overall, yeah, I have to. Go ahead.
one small thing I appreciate here, you wouldn't necessarily lose points for this, but it does make a dashboard easier to follow, is having your methodology tab at the end. Some people are going to skip over it, but that way it's there for people who want it and it's easy to find for people who want to find it, but it's not taking up valuable space right at the start. And so the people who do want to just jump in to the introduction section and then the rest of the dashboard can do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's cool and different in this dashboard that the methodology section kind of illustrates with data what it talks about. Like this is how many wallets are labeled. This is how many aren't. These are the flip side. These are the manual. Like I think it's like that nice kind of layer for the curious, right? It adds that depth and adds context. Overall, yeah, I have to agree. I really like this dashboard. It doesn't go overboard, which is much appreciated in the direction that we've all been advocating for. I would definitely say it's a stellar as well.
Let's keep rolling then.
All right. Which one did you say you wanted next?
Let's just keep going down the list. I'll drop in chat as well. We'll do Zanyar's next, just in case anybody can't see.
And Sam's here as well. Hey, Sam.
Oh, hello, Sam.
Hello, thanks for waiting.
Thanks for being here. We just went over the one dashboard, so we're here still pretty early. Appreciate you being here.
Cool.
Um, let me talk about stuff I like here first. I think here again the tab structure is good. A quick typo on activities of specific a user, -1 point, keep moving. The parameterization, I think when I tested this earlier, loads fine, it works snappy, that's good. I will say, even so, I'm looking at volume of swaps, for example. Took me about 4 seconds. As a reader, that's about right on the line where, for me, where I start getting impatient. Now I have high standards. But I can't take any points off for speed to load. I would just call that out. Like, it may seem like, oh, 4 or 5 seconds, that's totally fine. And it is in terms of how we might score you, but users have extremely, extremely short attention spans. So something to be aware of. I think the breaking down by Cosmos chains is useful for me. I was actually a little bit surprised. One thing, I'm looking right now at the number of swaps tab, just in terms of what you find interesting. Source chains and Cosmos chains. That Polygon was a major source chain, and that Osmosis is the like destination. Doesn't surprise me, but originating from Polygon is really interesting. I think the Osmosis team might actually be interested in that as well. And this leads me down to the observations section. This is a tricky thing to strike a balance on. Like I was, sort of saying, like Polygon and then Arbitrum and then the destination. This is restating what's visible in the charts, and that's okay to get all the way to stellar. And this for me is, I think with some polish, just, making sure that the grammar is flawless. This dashboard overall struck me. It might actually make it to stellar, but don't just tell us what's in the charts. Don't just restate what your visualizations are already showing us. Talk about why, like pick out the things that are really important and really interesting. Do a little bit more for us. Other than that, again, the load time, I don't think I would knock any points off for it, but it is something to keep an eye on. So for me, like if I were providing feedback on this, and I want to make sure everybody else has time, so I'm going fast, but it's valuable information, knowing, volume of swaps, and USD denomination. I think the methodology section, it's Spartan, but it's good. And then, as always, I'm going to push for having key insights. Great to have them as a conclusion, but make them easy to find right off the bat as well. Whether that's in your description of work or your introduction, I think it's valuable to have something right off the bat with your conclusion as well. So my only big push, other than maybe, if you can do anything to optimize load time, do that. But also don't just restate what your visualizations are saying. Tell us a little bit more. Marina and Sam, what were your takeaways?
I just posted a screenshot in chat because I can't see the screenshot as well. But
Okay.
so one of the charts I noticed is the chart over there in the chat, and the reason for these visuals that you're seeing is because on some dates there are no data, right? There are no swaps, and there's actually a way to overcome this. If you go to Flipside and search messages dumb, like DUMB, search down. Someone was asking about this recently, and I shared a query, and you can reference that query to to fix the issue. There you go. I can see the screenshot now.
Marina, what did you change?
I restarted the screen share. I kind of suspect some kind of interaction between it being a stage and my account, because that's what happens in stages every time, but not
Got it.
elsewhere. Okay, everybody can see it now. Okay.
Yeah, we're cooking now.
No, laughing man cannot. Oops. Do we kill it? Do we keep it for spam? What do we do?
PLM, I'm sorry. All right, we'll get this together for the next go round. I know we had some issues last time as well with screen share. We'll figure it out. I know it's a little bit annoying for people who can't see it live. At a minimum, I will just drop the dashboard in chat so you can follow along to an extent.
Daewoo
Podcast.
says, not a big fan of tabs being exact clones. You mean like the volume of swaps and number of swaps? I kind of agree here. I feel like those two can be one. Even
I'd tag out here by the same token. If you look at the volume and number, like they're not telling you anything substantially different. So there is something to be said for being comprehensive. But if you're using two metrics that are basically telling you exactly the same story, then maybe consider just summarizing that or including a chart or two rather than having two separate tabs. Now, the difference here is, as I said, I really like, for example, I'm fixating immediately on number of swaps based on source chain. That's really interesting to me. I would love to know more about that. And so that's the type of thing where that, and then like comparing that to the volume of swaps, I think would be really interesting. That specific thing I'm calling out just because that's intriguing to me. I'm curious why, Polygon, and especially if you were to weight this by overall either TVL or swap activity on those source chains, that would be really interesting. But the fact that Ethereum is so low here versus Polygon is really something I would love to dig into more. That said, the general takeaway, I think, from Playwo is correct. Don't add a bunch of extra charts that aren't giving you a lot of extra information.
Definitely agree. I'm also looking at these bar charts and kind of a similar observation as the last dashboard, right? So if you have a few categories and then you're showing them over time, like this is harder to read than if this was a line graph, for example. So I would make this kind of use case in general, I would make this into a line graph. And this is for the visualization category. And also, yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say that I agree with everything else that you both have pointed out so far.
Can we take a really quick look at number of users? I want to dig in a little bit here. And the big number chart, can we pull up the SQL here? Or
It kicks me out. I gotta look.
okay, we'll keep rolling then in the interest of time. I would love to dig into this a little bit later. This looks low to me. And so if we had more time, I would love to just troubleshoot for accuracy as well. This is the type of thing that I would want to dig into further and make sure that it's actually accurate as well. Let's do grades and keep moving. I want to make sure we've got time to get through as many of these as we can. Assuming accuracy for a sec, which is a big assumption to make. And again, this is where I would actually want to dig deeper and see this. These look low to me. This is right on the edge for me. I would probably nudge this guy into stellar. A couple typos, a couple things that could be polished up, some duplicative charts, but everything loads. It's interesting. It makes me want to dig a little bit deeper. I would note that anytime you have an observations section where you say up to now, you want to define what now is because that's going to change over time. And so there are definitely some flaws here, but in terms of following our rubric and going through quickly, this is, sufficient for me to rate a stellar. Again, if and the more I look at this, number of swaps doesn't really match up to value, or else, and I mean, maybe it's just Axelar really needs to pump those numbers up a little bit. But with the big caveat that I would want to dig a little bit deeper and probably will into method here. This ranks for me right on the edge between good and stellar, and on our new rubric, I'd probably give it a stellar. Sam, Marina?
We're still talking about Zanyar's dashboard, right? The XLR
We're still
flow.
on Zender's dashboard, yes.
I'm leaning towards good instead of stellar, just cause of like I'm seeing a lot of repetition in graphs and also tables. But yeah, other than that, it's good.
Definitely a theme that came up last time as well. Continue to if it doesn't add a lot to your dashboard, don't include it. I'll admit I also hate pie charts, which is on my mind as well. But it's hard to find a lot of things to take points off here, so that's on my mind as well. Let's keep going.
All right, let's do near. I'm gonna drop the dashboard in the chat here. So if anyone can't see the screen, you can follow along. There we go.
Cool. Marina, you want to kick this one off?
Sure. I appreciate the
large bug I want to squash before I deal with dashboarding. An actual bug, not like a Sam bug.
Sounds good. Yeah, I almost felt sad for a moment for the actual live or for a live bug, but there is no live bug, so that's. Oh wait, or was it a live bug and not a code bug?
I think it's a real bug.
Uh-oh. Poor bug. Anyway, I like this. I like that, you put, I'm assuming that when you change the parameters, this will change, right? Because I have not seen this yet. Right. I'm still not logged in or what? Let me refresh. So when you change the parameter and then you go to tab, no, it didn't change. I was excited there for a moment that this would also, but it's hard coded in, so I guess not. I like how this is organized in terms of, the visualizations are kind of, you can see that they're kind of meant to be easy to read, and they're, the way they're broken up. I appreciate this, but how similar are the things they're showing? So there's number of interactions, number of users, and fees. So the first, the kind of these two, the number of interactions daily and number of users, are kind of saying a really similar thing to me, although like scale is a bit different, but the trend looks kind of similar. And the fees and the gas where it's getting interesting. Still, I kind of like this presentation. If you were to use multiple charts for the same thing, I like this presentation. Let's take a look. Yeah, I know there's lots of strong feelings about pie charts. I used to use them. I have a confession to make. I used to use them a lot, but slowly getting into the camp of, yeah, they are not no longer my favorite either. Would be cool to see the findings at the top. So the first dashboard we looked at really kind of excelled at that today, right? It's your findings are given to you immediately. So when you start looking here, you already know what you're gonna see. And I'm not sure the purpose, like this image, the header image is serving on every tab. Like once you click through one or two tabs, I think it starts to become repetitive. So maybe I would not necessarily use that just to make it quicker to read. And do you have any thoughts, or GJ?
Yeah, let me just screenshot this one bit over here. Because I can't see the screen share as well suddenly. Okay, so I just pasted a screenshot, but there's this tab in the dashboard called contract interactions, and the author basically is trying to show like how many users who interacted with I guess contracts, and then how many transactions how many contract transactions there are, and then there's the findings at the bottom. I feel like you can play around with this layer a bit more, and I wonder if you can like consolidate that pie and that bar chart into one instead of having it split up like this, and then have your findings on the right somehow, right? Because like right now it's kind of hard to really see what's happening besides the obvious, like, transfer having most number of users and then submit being the most number of transactions. So I kind of like placing your finding in a way that it's sort of very near where your charts are, so it's immediately clear, like I see the charts and then you tell me the insight, so I can relate easier back to the charts.
My only additional gripe, I agree with everything that's been said, is back on the user interactions tab. I will say, like, reading through, everything is well labeled. The colors are a little bit garish, but they do make it easy to find stuff. Here again, daily number of interactions, daily unique users, daily fee used for interactions. These are all telling basically the same story. I do appreciate, even though it doesn't tell you a lot, adding a cumulative line. This came up in the first dashboard as well, to daily number charts. It just makes it easy to see number go up over time. But these three charts, I'm not sure if they're strictly necessary. I will say, because this is structured so that each of them is right under the number, like the big number chart, that does make it a little bit easier just to maintain the flow and the structure of the dashboard. I think this tab has a lot going on. There's so many colors and so much going on that it's sort of hard to keep track of. I'm on the user interactions tab. There you go. Not that one. If you want to scroll up. Yeah, just so folks who can screen share see what's going on. But just in general, like, things I like, really crisp, well ordered. The grammar, as far as I can tell, is flawless. It's easy to see what every single chart is telling you. So yeah, I agree, Marina. Really sharp on data viz. This is just a noisy tab, user interactions. But other than that, and my habitual distaste for donut charts, this is strong. And as before, like, it's always nice if you put the methodology at the end. But in this case, because we're using parameters and there's some things you have to play with, I actually like having the methodology tab second. And the introduction, similarly, like, normally I would say that this is, overbuilt on the introduction, but because there are some things here that you actually need to do, I think having the introduction is valuable. I will say, unfortunate, like, thing to lose points on, because it's so easy, is just the introduction section is repetitive. Like, it has the same information twice. That's an easy thing to not lose points for, just a quick, like, sort of skim through. But you're not going to lose so many points for that it's going to torpedo your dashboard. It is the type of thing that sort of erodes your credibility right off the bat. If someone reads this, front to back, I usually go to the conclusion first and then work my way backwards. Yeah, guys, we see you on screen share. Super unfortunate, and we're sorry. We'll either have somebody, like, we'll do some troubleshooting before the next go around. I know that can be frustrating. I was just saying, like, just a really quick read through to make sure that you're not, putting the same information twice. it's going to harm your credibility right off the bat. People are like, oh, they didn't proofread, which is unfortunate because there's a lot of really good work here. Let's do some grading. Where would people rank these? And Drake, you're welcome to weigh in if you want as well. But I'll go last this time. What would people consider this based on our new rubric, our criteria?
I'd do higher end of the good bucket for, I would add, maybe even bonus points for some of the viz just because they look really easy to read and really kind of user friendly. But I would take some points off for the length and kind of the repetitiveness. I think that's for me, that's the big thing to that would take it from good to stellar.
I'm doing a quick count. I think this number of visualizations is like right on the edge of our 20, but it comes in on the low side. So if I were actually using the rubric live and checking things off, I don't think I'd be taking points off for length. And I haven't tried the parameterization with an address. I don't want to dox myself by giving you mine, but this is snappy enough for me. I think once again I'm on the low end of stellar. But if I were going quickly, I would put this into a stellar bucket if I were triaging, mostly because the data visualizations take it there. And also, it's supremely well organized. Yeah, we're all in sort of the same place. Borderline stellar are very good. Let's keep rolling. Let's see if we can get through 2 more.
All right, we got you and one.
Yeah, this is a good one to go through. And Drake, you're the arch wizard or whatever, the archmage, so feel free to weigh in on this as well. Oh, Mark, you good. We'll see. Screen share has been going in and out for a lot of folks. So fingers crossed that it continues. So just in the interest of time to go really, really quickly, Hacker Man, this is obviously very different than the ones that we've looked at. As always, I would put insights close to the top. Everybody knows what Uniswap. Okay, fine, you'll make us do all the work. Classic Danner, am I right? Nonsense. The man has a monster work ethic. But keep doing what you're doing, weighing in chat. Everybody in the world knows what Uniswap is at this point. It's fine having the unicorn logo. That's good. I would put that down at the bottom and put insights up at the top. There is virtually, let's see, just looking at the contract address here. Is this just the USDC WETH? Yeah. So I'm gonna look at this on Etherscan while I do this. But right off the bat, even without looking at the SQL, a high point of 29 swaps on April 26th makes me wonder if this is done correctly. Especially if I look at the swap volume, which is generally high. I mean, interesting because higher toward the front end, lower toward the back end, which makes me want to know a little bit more as to why. But if this pool is actually USDC WETH, then there's no way that it only has 29 swaps. That's one thing I'd want to look at. I would put sources down at the bottom. Again, like you don't want insights to be the last thing that you find. So to do this, I have to go through what Uniswap is, methodology, and sources before I ever get to insights. This is nice and clean. The data visualization is good. The grammar is good. I would be, again, concerned about accuracy here. So that's what I'm going to sort of look into a little bit further if anybody else wants to weigh in while I do this.
That was my exact thought as well. Like, why is the number so low? But I checked the SQL, it looks correct. And it looks very clean as well. So I'm not sure. Maybe it's the base tables.
Okay.
Also, insights-wise, I'd love to see the why. I know this is probably answering like a prompt a challenge, either a course challenge or maybe the Dune Uniswap. They had like a 12 days of Dune, something along those lines. But I would still love to kind of see why, like, it's interesting for one to read this.
It does. I mean, it does show. Yeah, like if there's high volume at the start of a week and low volume. This is why having a single week makes it difficult to extract any insights. I would love to actually see a little bit more here. I just picked a random pool. That's the type of thing where it's good to provide a little bit more information on which pool and why. That does help a little bit. Since you're here, Captain Crunch, do you have questions for us? We haven't been asking any questions at all, but let's open the floor a little bit, get this going back and forth. Are there things you want to know about how we would review this? For me, this is it's very easy to follow. It's brief. We're all asking for a little bit more information. I think I would, based on the new process, rate this a good, and just move on. But with questions about methodology, I think the methodology you lay out is straightforward, but I would love to know a little bit more about if you're picking a pool, why are you picking that pool, and what interesting things can you find? And then, as we talked about, make the insights easy to find too. Put those right up top. And then tell us why. And this is one of the things that came up in prior reviews. Like, you're telling us what, and we can get the what from your data viz. Give us the why if you can. Marina, Sam, other stuff that you want to weigh in on. Also, good job on this bar chart for what it's worth. It's always nice when people take the effort and convert to USD for you. This is easy to follow. It's interesting. Like, it's just very clean. Credit here. I like the actually Dune logo with this color scheme. It's a very snappy chart. So if I were screenshotting, I would happily take this and tweet it out and make that a single tweet. And then talk a little bit about the why.
Yeah, I also
Captain
see
Crunch.
you. Oh, no, go ahead.
Go ahead.
That's okay.
So Captain Crunch asked in the chat, what types of insights could be good for a shorter dashboard/question like this? Any thoughts?
I'll chime in just one example of many. If you're looking at a week, this week, swap volume is super high on April 26th. Why? Is that just an outlier? Is it a whale? Did something happen on April 26th? Like, we have no volume on, want to make sure, no USDC swap volume. So it's all WETH. The May 1st, the latter half of the week, if I'm reading that correctly, I may not be. So it's always nice to see, like, pick an outlier and explain whether it is an outlier or not, and then just why. If there's one like overarching thing, ask why or explain why. You don't have to get things right all the time. We're not looking for that, but just here's what happened, and maybe here's why it happened, or why it's interesting, or where it could be going, or what might happen next, or what happened before, what might change. Don't just tell us what we're reading in the charts. Take a step further. I think, this piques my interest, and that for me is the mark of a good dashboard. It makes me want to know more, and specifically what I want to know more here is about the discrepancy between April 26th and everything else. For a short dashboard, like, you're typically answering one single question. Longer dashboards might dive deeper into a topic. But to Marky's point as well, like, helpful to know exactly what you're looking at and why you pick a particular pool. But if you just picked a random one, then that answers my question there. Marina, Sam?
Yeah, basically that was what I was gonna say as well, like the extra insight. Damn it, GJ. But other things to look at, like, I know the question is about looking at one pool, but what if you can compare this one pool with the other pools? And I don't know, oftentimes when you do this research, you always go down several rabbit holes, and some holes may not be very Like you don't get many insights out of those. Don't get many interesting insights out of those, but you know, I find it interesting to just like go down several different questions and like just explore what's at the end of the day come up, like consolidate what is interesting. So like here you have what DJ mentioned, look at that one specific day of April 26th and what's causing that high volume swap. Or you can like look at a specific trader that is trading this pool, right? Yeah, things of that matter.
This is a good dashboard for me. This scores a good. It needs a little bit more to get to stellar, but for what it presents, it's clean, it's easy to read, like it's interesting, it's well formatted. I will always continue to push for make the insights as easy to find as possible. Your readers are lazy if you're like me and have a lot of these to go through. But I would rate this a good. And for the amount of actual content it has, it may be very Spartan, but it has everything that we're asking for. So kudos for that.
I think another interesting question in the chat, Captain Crunch asked what happens if say the prompt, the challenge is looking for something specific, and then you dive deeper than that, or kind of something else piques your interest and you build up on that. Does anyone want to comment?
I think it's important to answer the question, but actually Daniel just answered what I want to say. Damn it again. But basically, just make sure you cover all your bases and cover your bases well, and then you present additional insights that you find interesting.
What a packed hour, everyone. Appreciate you, DJ, Drake, Sam. Appreciate everyone who dropped your dashboards to be reviewed and for taking it in stride. We'd love to give you advice. And yeah, let us know your feedback. Always make networks in the Network 101 channel. And we'll see you again soon. We're going to keep doing these dashboard teardowns. So we'll drop another form. You can drop your dashboards. We'll do it all over again. And claim some X metric. And that's it. Thanks, everyone, so much. We'll see you soon. Bye, y'all.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Joe.